Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is the historical movie review, and I'll be having a look at Age of Uprising, The Legend of Michael Kohlhaas. Now this movie stars Mikkelsen, who you may know from TV's Hannibal. He was also in, I think, Casino Royale, and a bunch of other kind of movies as well. And he's also rumoured to be Doctor Strange, or one of the frontrunners for Doctor Strange, if that movie ever gets made. Now, this story has some basis in fact. It's actually based off a novel that was written, I think, in 1810, or it was published in 1810, and that's actually a tale of a true life event. Someone named Hans Kohlhaas, who this kind of the novella was based on. Although the novella has had some more sort of dramatic stuff happen in it, which didn't really happen in real life, and that's what this film is based on. It's based on the novella, not the kind of the historical event. And the story in this is basically Mads Mikkelsen's character is essentially a horse trader, and he feels that injustice was done to him when one day this kind of local baron kind of illegally seizes two horses. And Mads Mikkelsen's character, Michael Kohlhaas, is essentially appalled by this and tries to go through sort of legal means to try and sort of claim his horses back, but the Baron kind of uses his influence to sort of deny that, and essentially things escalate and kind of gets worse for Kohlhaas. His wife is killed, and it turns to Michael Kohlhaas to sort of try and get justice for himself, and basically he gathers like a small army together and sort of seeks justice against the kind of the local Baron and his men, and it also deals with the kind of the aftermath of that and the sort of consequences for his actions, and ultimately what it comes down to is a man with principles, but sometimes is it better to let things lie. So what's the movie like? Well, it's a beautifully shot movie. Some of the sort of the scenery is fantastic, and the cinematography looks outstanding. It's not an English language film, so if you are put off by reading subtitles, then obviously this may not be a movie for you. Now, I always say it's a little bit difficult to kind of really judge acting when it's kind of a non-English language movie, but I've got to say, it did seem to me that obviously the lines were delivered with, panache and enough sort of dramatic tension that it seemed pretty decent to me. There's not a lot of dialogue in it in a kind of weird way. There's long sort of pauses or long sort of scenes where you don't get a lot of characters speaking. One of the issues maybe I have with this film is I didn't think Kohlhaas was a particularly charismatic character. And I guess this kind of leads into one of the other main issues that I have with it, is he kind of gathers up all this sort of fairly large army, but I didn't really understand the sort of motivations of the kind of the people that were sort of joining him and stuff like that. He has a kind of about 4 or 5 men at the beginning, but I don't really understand why people were kind of fighting with him. He didn't really sort of seem to kind of be this kind of like leader that's, for example, like Braveheart, which is kind of what this film kind of reminds me of in a way, where he's sort of inspiring people to sort of take back their sort of freedom and stuff like that. It doesn't sort of seem that at all, or at least you don't see it on the screen. And we can't really guess what's happening. We shouldn't have to guess what's happening off screen. So, but it's not just the kind of the sort of protagonist, really. Also the kind of the antagonist. Again, we don't really know the sort of motivations of why people are doing certain things, and that kind of bothered me about this film. It's kind of a well-made film, really, apart from that. So it's the thing I always say with this movie as well is it kind of don't go into this thinking it's going to be an action film. This is really an art house film. It kind of set in kind of, I guess, medieval sort of times, but there's very little action in it. And then there are actually quite a lot of deaths in this movie, but they're kind of pretty much off screen. We see sort of people sort of firing crossbows and stuff like that, but we don't really, or very rarely do we ever actually see people dying on screen. So don't think it's kind of an action film. I think the title and the cover is a little bit misleading, to be quite honest. But it's a good film for what it is, but I don't think it's going to kind of appeal to everyone, certainly. But like I said, the main issue I have with this film is really the kind of the characterization I felt was lacking, because the motivations just seemed very sort of wishy-washy, and I couldn't really understand why people were doing certain things. So it's kind of a bit of an oddity, this one. It's okay if you like your very kind of slow-moving sort of dramatic kind of moody pieces, but if you're kind of wanting a bit more sort of stylized, violent films, stuff like that, you're going to be a bit disappointed here. So overall, I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's not bad for what it is, but I do think it was lacking in certain areas. Have you seen it? What did you think? Leave me a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.